Hello, hello. I am Matt Williamson, gearing up for a Steeler game tomorrow night. Frankly, I don't have a lot of things to look for in that one because I don't think I know some of the starters are going to play, but it's going to be short. I mean, end of roster stuff. And I didn't have a podcast for you on purpose because I'm going to have a couple over the weekend. In general, I do 5 a week. So I'm going to do one after the show or after the game, presumably, because I am doing a 2-hour post-game show and won't get home till honestly like 1:30 in the morning because it's a later start than the last time I did it. So I'm still planning on doing one late Thursday night and then probably another Saturday after second watching as we often do. But I have some cool stuff for you today and 2 very distinct things to talk about. So Pro Football Focus put out every team's grades through 2 weeks of just their rookies. And I wanted to run down them and see if their grades passed the sniff test. And I reference Pro Football Focus a lot. I think they do great work. I go to their site every day. But there's times I look at their grades and be like, you're nuts. Like, they used to be really hard on Marquise Pouncey. You know, like as like a bottom 10 center in the league. I'm like, that doesn't add up at all. But to these, and it also has their snap counts, which is important to me too. So we'll start with the good. And a little teaser, you can go to the site and read my opinion of Mr. Herbig, and it is a high one. And he has played 40 snaps with a grade of 90.6. Of course, he's not playing against ones and all that stuff. Like, all that stuff goes without saying. But like a 90.6 grade is like a TJ Watt grade. I mean, there won't be more than a handful of PFF grades at the end of the season over 90. I mean, that's elite. That's what he's playing like, though. I mean, again, we know who he's playing against. Joey Porter Jr. has played 24 snaps with a 71.1. Keanu Benton has played 28 with a 69.3. Darnell Washington has played 54 with a 61.6. So 4 of your 5 highest picks are playing the best football thus far, too. And Broderick Jones isn't far off. Isn't that exactly what you want to see? You know, I mean, they're all passing the sniff test to me. I wrote a Benton article 2 weeks ago, Herbig one this week, both high praise. Another draft pick, a late one, Spencer Anderson, has played 68 snaps, a very high number, by the way, and he grades in at 60.1. Now, the leader in snaps on here is our buddy Broderick Jones. 94 snaps of Broderick Jones. Clearly number one. There's another guy that played 80, but he's down the list. He came in at 59.9. Fine. I think that's about right. He's had some hiccups, many more good snaps than bad, but a lot of snaps. You know, he's playing a lot of football. That's the biggest takeaway there. The rest of these names are long shots, so I'll buzz through them super quick. But I really thought those top 6, Herbig, Porter, Benton, Washington, Anderson, Jones, in that order, was exactly the guys you want, and was very prominent, you know, very prevalent. One of those words. So Toby Ndukwe has played 53 snaps. He's next at 59.5. Darius Hagans is a running back. It's only played 15 snaps, 56.9. Jordan Byrd has only played 5 snaps of offense. He's a returner type receiver guy, 52.4. I don't think any of those guys are making the team. The Ndukwe maybe could hook on as a practice squad dude. Xavier Valade. I may have butchered your name. I'm sorry, Mr. Valade. Also a newly signed running back, but played 23 snaps already, 45.8. He kind of showed up a little bit. James, another one that's really tough here, Naiwama. Oh, wow, I'm off on that one. But anyway, he's only played 18 snaps, 45.8. He's not making the team. The last 2, Tanner Morgan has played 26 snaps and has the worst grade of any of the Steelers rookies. It was nice knowing you. Sorry, Tanner, you're gone. But the only one that I kind of am a little bit noteworthy here on the second half of these no-name dudes is David Perilous, the edge rusher, because he's played a lot. Only Broderick Jones has played more snaps than him. Jones has played 94. Perilous has played 80. And the next guy up is Anderson at 68. So that's a big chunk of snaps. His grade is really poor, though. It's 41.3. Only Morgan is worse. But he's also been a big special teams contributor. So Perilous is a dude that I could see maybe sticking around as like their fifth edge guy, not on the main roster, but as like your top practice squad edge rusher. So I thought that was cool, and we got something totally different for you too. In the second half, I'll be back in a moment. All right. Mike Sando is a friend of mine. We were at ESPN for 10 years together. I have referenced and we went through his quarterback tiers, but he kind of has a spin-off article off his tiers, which I think is really smart. And he adds up all the scores. So if you play Mahomes, he's a tier 1 guy. If you play Ryan Tannehill, he's a tier 3 guy. Sam Howell's a tier 4 guy. So there aren't many tier 1s in the world. But what he does is he adds up all 17 of your games with the presumed starting quarterback. Now, of course, you're not going to get those guys exactly. There were 69 starting quarterbacks last year. So you're not going to get, if heaven forbid Pat Mahomes gets hurt tomorrow and misses the whole season, much of these ratings are shot. You know what I mean? Because he carries so much weight. But you get my point here. So what he does is he calls this his QB tier strength of schedule, ranking each team's 2023 schedule based on opposing quarterbacks. And to give you some reference, I'm going to talk about Steelers here in a minute, as well as the division. So a lot of divisions are lumped together, as you would imagine, because you play similar schedules. Less similar than ever with the 17-game schedule, because there are some other things out there. But Miami has the hardest schedule against opposing quarterbacks per these tiers, which could be a big deal. For the Steelers too. Is there a chance that the Steelers and Dolphins are fighting for a wild card spot? Absolutely. And here's the guys they play. Like, this is as bad as it gets. They play Mahomes. They play Allen twice. They play Rodgers twice. They play Herbert. All those guys are tier 1 dudes. There's hardly any tier 1 guys, and they get 6 games against tier 1 quarterbacks. Then they get 3 more against tier 2 quarterbacks: Hurts, Lamar, Dak. So that's like half your schedule against basically elite quarterbacks. Awful, awful, awful. So another real hard one is the Patriots, as you would imagine. That whole division's near the top. The Steelers aren't far off, or the AFC North isn't far off either. But like Kansas City comes in third. Now, I'll say, if I'm the Chiefs, no matter who I play, I still think I have the quarterback advantage. And they do. But they play Burrow, they play Allen, they play Rodgers, they play Herbert twice, they play Hurts, Lawrence, Cousins. So they're 3. The Bills are 4. The Chargers are 5. And so good teams are going to play against good quarterbacks because, you come in first, etc. But it wouldn't shock me at all if the Steelers are fighting the Chargers, Miami, some of these teams that we're talking about for playoff spots. Then the only team that's not particularly good near the top is the Raiders. The Raiders have the 6th hardest group of quarterbacks they're playing against, and their division is the hardest. So where are the Steelers? There, we'll keep scrolling here because we got the Raiders at 6, Denver at 7. Again, really tough divisions. Jets, Commanders, Bengals. Bengals come in at 10, 10th hardest slate of quarterbacks to play against. And now we're going to get in the AFC North neighborhood. Cleveland has 11th. The Ravens have 12th. Steelers have 13th. So the Steelers quarterbacks that they're projected to play are Burrow twice. He's the only tier 1 guy. Jackson twice. He's a tier 2 guy. Watson twice. He's a tier 2 guy. But is he really? I don't know. Lawrence is a tier 2 guy. I agree with that. He may even be a tier 1 guy when you play him. Matthew Stafford's a tier 2 guy. Is he? He wasn't last year. So even the tier 2 guys you play, Stafford, Watson twice, aren't that scary. They also got Garoppolo, Geno, Tannehill, Jones, Mac Jones. Those are all tier 3 guys. Purdy, tier 4 is a little weird because when it's an incomplete grade for these guys, like Pat Mahomes played one game his rookie year, and then they traded Alex Smith, and everyone knew Pat Mahomes was going to be the starter the next year. So he came into that year as a tier 4 player because he only had one game because he's kind of an incomplete grade. So some of these tier 4 guys could certainly be better than you think. Purdy, Love, Stroud, Richardson. But they also got Colt McCoy. I mean, I think he's going to be lucky to be a tier 4 guy the rest of his life. You know what I mean? So it's the 13th most difficult schedule against quarterbacks. But overall, the strength of schedule for the Steelers to me isn't bad. And there's a couple things he says here. I just want to read this one paragraph to you. Only the Raiders face a more difficult division schedule of opposing quarterbacks than the Steelers are scheduled to face. Now, I want to stop you there. Like, if I'm playing a really, really good quarterback, tier 1 quarterback, tier 2 quarterback, I would rather it be a division opponent than not. Yes and no, I guess. Obviously, division games mean more, so you wish you had all easy division games. But I just mean in terms of prepping for Burrow, Lamar, and less so Watson because he's new. You just know him so well. You know what I mean? Like, prepping for Lawrence might be more difficult than prepping for Burrow. You know what I mean? Just because you do it every year. Your defensive coordinator in June when he's on the beach is thinking about Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? Like, so the fact that their hard ones are division games doesn't worry me all that much, especially the way the Steelers, Tomlin are structured. Like, I don't think they're going 0-6 in the division. So anyways, only the Raiders face a more difficult division schedule of opposing quarterbacks. But then Mike says, it's not all bad for Pittsburgh. Drawing the AFC South and the NFC West in the rotation, plus a lower-rated 17th opponent in the Packers' Love helped even things out. So only one team faced, and it's the Raiders, only face a more difficult divisional schedule. But their AFC games not in the division, which, folks, that's why they didn't go to the playoffs last year, is they lost too many of them. 25th easiest, or the 25th hardest. So very, very easy. It's Lawrence, it's Tannehill, it's Stroud, it's Richardson. So those are going to make a big difference, especially when wild card time comes around. So that's covering the division. But I do just want to throw the opposite end of the spectrum at you. By far, the Falcons and Saints have the easiest slate. Saints are 32, Falcons are at 31. And the only reason basically Atlanta's at 31 is they have Rodgers on their schedule and the Saints don't. But listen to the quarterbacks the Saints face. Now, I'm not saying Derek Carr's a world beater, but it doesn't really matter. This is the 17 games that the Saints are set to face. Trevor Lawrence. Okay, he's going to be really good. I love Trevor Lawrence. But he's considered a tier 2 guy at this point in his career. 0 tier 1 dudes. They get Stafford and Cousin are the other two tier 2 players. Are they really? I mean, in terms of playing Stafford and Cousins, I don't think all of a sudden they're just going to magically become a tier 1 guy at this stage of their career. And that's also true for some of the tier 3 guys they're playing, like Goff, Tannehill. So these are all the quarterbacks they're playing. Lawrence, Stafford, Cousins in tier 2, which is about as good a tier 2 group as you could get. I mean, I'd much rather play that group than Dak and Hurts and Lamar. Then they get Goff, Daniel Jones, Fields. Fields is a wild card. Maybe he vaults up there. Tannehill, who's not a wild card. Mac Jones. And then they get a bunch of tier 4 dudes. Jordan Love, Mayfield twice, Bryce Young twice, Stroud, Richardson, Ritter twice. Like, just to lay out Miami versus Saints couldn't be any more different. And I just thought this was a fun little thing, and it's very, very Steeler, oriented. Over and out. Next time we will talk will be after Steelers Falcons. We were just talking Falcons. Over and out.